Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have 5 articles in this episode for you in the description of the video for your convenience. Off of Liberty Writers, and it says, this ex-CIA analyst just came forward on video and exposed Obama's plan to get Trump impeached. Earlier this week, ex-CIA analyst Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer told Martha McCallum that he thinks that the leftover members of Obama's administration are keeping Trump in the dark on information. At the same time that the Wall Street Journal released a report that said that intelligence officials are withholding information from President Trump. So you have a lot of folks who are either career members of the intelligence community who are skeptical of the current situation, or who were at the point who have burrowed themselves into the infrastructure, who are now career intelligence officers, he said. There's video in this if you want to pull it up to see that for yourself. That people embedded in the current administration are loyal to past administrators or past administrations. That's not good. They think they are better than our current administration. Where you've seen people leaking is the same mentality you see people holding information, he said. Next article that I have for you is off of and it says CIA agent Michael Flynn was ousted after obtaining DC pedophile list. Former CIA agent says that General Flynn from the White House after obtaining Washington, D.C. pedophile list naming high-level politicians who belong to the D.C. pedo ring. According to Robert David Steele, after he obtained a list of names, some of whom actively investigating in connection to the Pizzagate scandal, and one of whom was Vice President Mike Pence's best friend. The former CIA officer says there are locations in Washington, D.C. and Saudi Arabia where children are routinely ordered and trafficked to high-placed politicians operating in the Capitol. Summary points for the first 5 minutes of the video. Donald Trump is our chance to take down the deep state. Intelligence community was able to stop Hillary Clinton from rigging the vote electronically like she did to Bernie. Ed John Brennan committed treason by telling lies intended to overturn the Electoral College. And highest paid agent of Saudi Arabia should be under FBI investigation. Reince Priebus is an enabler and cover-upper of pedophilia. Former Speaker of the House Dennis Hastert is the tip of the iceberg. WikiLeaks is going to take down Priebus? Question mark. Is an elite privilege for Democrats. It's an acquired taste. Podesta is a pedo light. The Republicans and the elite in banking are the ones who have made pedophilia a big league thing. And Washington, D.C. restaurants with basements where you can order children off the menu. D.C. pedophilia is the Achilles heel, and Trump has figured that out. Flynn didn't get fired because he called the Russians. Flynn got fired because he had the arrogance to think, and that's sarcasm, that he could tell Mattis and Tillerson what to do. Flynn pissed off Vice President Pence. What that got him in trouble included a conversation about a list of high-level pedophiles inside the U.S., one of whom happens to be Vice President Mike Pence's best friend. Flynn did not tell Pence about the list or that his best friend was on it. Pence found out about this from the deep state, probably NSA, taps, spying on all of our politicians with impunity. The CIA is leaking highly classified information as part of a political coup against Trump. And there's some video here that says former CIA officer Flynn fired over high pedophile list. So if you want to view that for yourself, you can pull that up. It's off of InfoWars. The next one we have here is news flash, and it says new bill introduced to force all employers to check for citizenship. Did that, but maybe not. It says new bill introduced that will force all employers in America to have use E-Verify to check the legal status of their employees. In addition to all those papers we sign before we start work, the Iowa Republican Senator Chuck Grassley introduced the new bill. In addition, those who fail the check will have to be terminated. The Senate Committee on the Judiciary introduced the E-Verification Act before, but now with Donald Trump as president, the bill has great chance of passing. Grassley released a statement Tuesday. The country have opted to use the E-Verify system to help comply with our immigration laws. E-Verify is a proven tool for employers, including myself, that helps reduce incentives for legal immigration and safeguards job opportunities for Americans and other legal workers. Expanding the system to every workplace will improve accountability for all businesses and take an important step toward putting American employers to check legal status of potential hires too. This bill matches Donald's opinion when he said, "Buy and hire American." Daily Caller reports that the bill requires employers to terminate any employee who fails to meet legal status requirements and forces employers to check legal status for all employees years. Grassley's bill also punishes those who hire illegals with up to $25,000. All gets simple: hire American or pay the penalty. Well, here is off of Conservative Tribune. It says, Juanita Broadderick responds to Chelsea Clinton's Twitter Trump attack. Chelsea Clinton, when referring to something as horrifying, well, it helps if you have a father who isn't an accused rapist. The former first daughter found out the hard way on Twitter when she tried to register her disgust at the possible deportation of illegal immigrants and ended up drawing the unwanted attention of Juanita Broadderick, the woman who has long maintained Chelsea's father raped her when she was a general of Arkansas. Chelsea was responding to a story in the El Paso Times detailing the immigration enforcement detention of illegal immigrants who had been detained after seeking a protective order in a domestic abuse case. In her tweet, Clinton tried to refer to the Trump administration. Here was Chelsea's tweet from Wednesday, and it says, "What's another word for horrifying? Sick, awful. Running out of adjectives these days that means unconsciously terrible." Chelsea's remarks was that the transgender woman in question, who had already been deported 7 times before this, had a history of committing domestic violence among a panoply of other offenses. Illegal reentry, larceny, assault, false imprisonment, no less than 3 times. Probation violations were among the laundry list of crimes listed by KVIA TV. Video in this, if you want to pull it up to view that. And I'm going to try to get it shut off here so I can go on with the article. And the hamster's taking its time here. One can certainly question whether detaining an individual who was seeking a protective order or even a felon creates perverse incentives. There's no question that sick, awful, and horrifying things this individual had done meant she certainly should not have been in this country. Awful and horrifying is rape. It says, well, since you ask, here's my definition of horrifying, sick, and awful. Answer: your father, Bill Clinton. Broadderick, for those of you who don't know, is a former nursing home administrator who publicly accused then President Bill Clinton in 1998 of raping her back in 1978 when he was actually in charge of criminal prosecutions in Razorback State. The Clinton machine has long ignored Broadderick and her allegations, even though she's maintained her story for almost 20 years. It's worth pointing out, social media defender of sexual and or domestic violence, provided, of course, there's some sort of tenuous link mother at the ballot box in November. Chelsea Clinton seems strangely silent when it comes to getting justice for Juanita Broadderick. or Kathleen Wiley, or Paula Jones, or any of the women who have not only said but continue to maintain that they were the victims of sexual abuse at the hands of her father. Pedophile is willing to address this multitude of accusations. I'm perfectly willing to consider her opinions on any sick, horrifying, or awful thing she wishes to discuss. Sans that, I would advise that she may just want to sit the next few years out. The next article is off of Conservative Tribune. Middle school students in trouble after hurling wooden block at Trump's motorcade. Whenever President Donald Trump's motorcade rolls through town, it inevitably attracts a series of cheers and boos from people watching it roll by. But things got a little out of hand on Friday while Trump's motorcade was rolling through West Palm Beach, Florida, and was struck by an object that had been thrown from the crowd, the UK did. After an investigation, 5 middle school students confessed to throwing a piece of wood and a rock at the motorcade. Now those students could be charged. While assisting the United States Secret Service with motorcade movement, it was reported that a vehicle in the motorcade had been struck by what was believed to be a small hard object, said statement released by the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. You're here of a block of wood that it looks like it's about a 4-inch piece of 2x4, and it says CNN reported that the incident happened as Trump's motorcade was traveling from the airport to his Mar-a-Lago resort. And this, if you want to pull it up to view that, the article says one vehicle in the motorcade was struck by the objects that were thrown. No one was injured, and none of the vehicles sustained any major damage, the Washington Post reported. It is unclear if these students had a political motivation for throwing things at the motorcade or if they were just a bunch of idiotic kids who thought it would be cool to say they threw something at the President of the United States. Unfortunately for them, they will likely be charged for what they did and will have to deal with the consequences of their actions for the rest of their lives. Should have raised them with the understanding that you don't throw things at vehicles, especially if those vehicles happen to contain the most powerful man in the world. For you in this episode. If you like what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up, share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done that, and that way you'll stay informed. See you in the next one.